excited about this final round of Modern. Even more so, I like Modern. I've made fun of it in the past, but I do genuinely enjoy the format. But I'm extra excited because this is Table 1.
Yes.
They're the only undefeateds. So there's a 4-round tournament tonight, so they're both 3-0. I don't know what Dorian's playing, but we know Rob Holt is undefeated playing the new Jeskai Ascendancy combo deck. So we're going to get that on camera for you guys tonight. Don't know. I mean, I know I've read the primers on it. I've seen the deck list. I've not seen it in action, so I'm excited. They are IDing.
Yes.
But they've agreed to play it out on the camera for us anyway, so we can get a chance to see this deck in action, which we certainly appreciate. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Yes.
To catch you up, who are just joining us, we are Dayton Magic Club. This is Scott Campbell.
Yep. Hello. And that's Ryan Johnson.
I am Ryan Johnson. We are Dayton Magic Club. We're broadcasting a live Friday Night Magic at Epic Loot in Centerville, Ohio. I don't know. We didn't really talk about it as much as I kind of wanted to. We were just so busy with Standard.
Yeah.
But there was a side-by-side Modern tournament going on, starting with like round 2, and I kind of wanted to check in on that. Really didn't get a chance to. We were so busy checking the sweet new decks from Standard, trying to scout the room, talking to players about what they're playing.
Making trades.
Yeah, there was that too. So I don't know exactly what the field looked like for these Modern players tonight.
I saw at least 2, maybe 3 instances of this Jeskai Ascendancy
Yeah, it
deck.
seems to be pretty popular. Rob Holt is the sole undefeated with it.
Yep.
I know there was at least one Rug Twin.
Yes. Yeah, Lewis Brook, I think, was playing
that is
Karma
his
Twin.
go-to deck, that Karma Twin
Yes.
list, that aggro combo deck.
I did see Rob earlier against an opponent who was playing like this black blue. He may have had some white in there as well. Had Liliana on the field.
Okay.
He did Glittering Wish for an Abrupt Decay to kill it.
That is the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life.
So I'm like, all right, that's the thing. So yeah, Rob Holt, very accomplished Magic player.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of a generalist.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't really stick to a specific deck or an archetype. He generally has a lot of different decks built and likes to practice all of them. Genuinely enjoys playing the game and learning the ins and outs and the lines of new decks. I think that's really what draws him to this particular game. So you never know what he's going to play when you're sitting across from him. We happen to have the inside scoop that he's playing Ascendancy combo tonight. Really curious if we can catch a glimpse of what Dorian is playing there. Oh man, I can almost make it out.
I think I see some blue and black cards that are being shuffled together.
Oh man, it'd be sweet if it was like gifts. I love that gifts deck. I've never played it.
No, there's a red-green in there, so it might be twin. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
Or it could be red-green aggro. Jacob thinks it might be like the zoo deck without white.
So that Fnatic of Xenagos that they just got the promo of would probably be really good in Dorian's deck.
It's pretty decent. Oh, I'm sorry, Rug Dudes. So that would be like the
Oh no, it's not Rug. It's Tamir.
That's true. The Tamir tempo deck, or the Tamir mid-range with like, sometimes you see Huntmaster of the Fells in there, and Tarmogoyf, Bolts. It's just kind of like a Rug good stuff deck.
Yeah.
It's basically the twin deck after board, when they would like take out the twins and bring in some Huntmasters and stuff, and like, this deck is good enough, why are we even bothering with twin?
Speaking of Huntmaster, I want to get foil German Huntmasters because his name is Jägermeister.
That is awesome.
That's so just club worthy. And by the way, I don't drink. I just know Jägermeister from my days as an industrial DJ. So
that's fair.
All right, some cuts. And Rob hasn't won yet, so the combo's not working.
We got a real problem. All right, looks like Dorian's going back.
Yeah, because I saw Rob here earlier. He was, I guess, playtesting an elf deck for Legacy.
Yeah.
He's normally like, I see him play Death and Taxes a lot.
He has Death and Taxes list, I believe, if not 100%, is very close. I think he might be missing the Wastelands to be 100% foil.
Oh, okay.
So he does enjoy that deck. All right, we have the best possible start from Rob, which is turn 1 Mana Dork. Dorian will respond with... I don't know what that is. What is that?
Is that a promo guy? Is that the... That's the Rattleclaw Mystic.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, that's sweet. I didn't recognize that one.
Rattleclaw Mystic in Modern.
Yeah, that card's awesome.
here is Glittering Wish.
Okay, that's probably going to grab an Ascendancy
From the board, yeah.
From the board, keeps one in there. Yep.
Seems good.
Seems just fine. Now, I saw one of the primers that I was reading suggested possibly cutting the Glittering Wish package and playing Idyllic Tutor in the main, which actually lets you play all 4 Jeskai Ascendancies. And so it actually lets you play another virtual copy. You play 4 Idyllic Tutors and 4 Jeskai Ascendancies.
Interesting.
So that's something that it's interesting. But you do lose the flexibility of the wish board. You can't wish for Flesh and Blood, so you probably have to play the Grape Shot in the main, which I know some people are moving away from.
Right.
For those of you who don't know about this deck, we should probably talk about it.
Oh, we should, yes.
Jeskai Ascendancy, new card, obviously from Cons, says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, creatures you control get +1/+1 on a turn. Untap those creatures. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. So you play a bunch of these mana dorks, and then every time you cast a 1-mana cantrip or 1-mana spell, because you get to dig with it anyway.
All right.
You get to tap the mana dork for mana and then untap it, and it gets +1/+1.
Yes.
So the mana dork's getting bigger, and you've cast another spell and got another card deeper in the deck. You keep doing that, using the mana dork to keep casting your 1-mana cantrips till it gets a 20/20, and then you can either attack them to death with it.
Flesh and Blood.
You can Glittering Wish for Flesh and Blood out of the sideboard and throw it at them with Flesh and Blood, or sometimes I know Rob has moved away from it. You can Grape Shot after you've cast 20 spells and storm them to death. It's very fast. It sounds easy to disrupt and hard to pull off, but actually once it gets going, it's very hard to stop.
I'm seeing a Chandra, a Stormbat Dragon, and Electrolyze.
Okay. One of the ways to stop it is to kill all of its mana guys, which we've seen Dorian is on that plan already, bolting the bird. So basically, it is a faster, more consistent cousin to the Storm deck that already exists in the format.
Right.
The downside is you're more vulnerable to creature removal. Now, with that said, the old Storm deck was already kind of because it wanted its I don't remember what it's called. The one that made all your sorceries, instant sorceries, cheaper by 1.
Oh, Goblin Electromancer?
Electromancer. It was fairly dependent on several of its lines were pretty dependent on having Electromancer in play, turning Manamorphose into a true ritual and that kind of thing.
Right.
So we're going to see some jockeying for position here. Rob, once he gets the Ascendancy down, can use his cantrips to start powering through his deck to get mana dorks into play. So the best place to fight this deck, it looks like to me on paper, is on the Ascendancy front. That's the engine that truly drives the deck.
Right. Once
it's in play, your Ataxian Probes show you 2 more cards, that kind of stuff. We get another mana dork.
Yeah, the problem here is his Ascendancy was initially remanded.
Yes.
Then his bird was killed.
Yep. And that's how this tempo rug deck is going to operate against most decks. Remand here and Electrolyze there, get up a couple of cards, kill a couple of guys, kind of start beating you to death with whatever I have lying around. One of the things that makes it so effective, this type of strategy in Modern, is you have some built-in game 1 against whatever combo deck you happen to face because you have a couple of counter spells here, a couple of removal spells there to back up your threats. Unlike, say, a Zoo deck, which would be very difficult to try to beat this deck game 1 because it doesn't have any way to stop the Ascendancy engine from getting online.
Right. Rob with a
Treasure Cruise?
Yes.
Treasure Cruise is a cool one in this deck because the Jeskai Ascendancy not only draws cards, it actively loots. So it's pretty easy to go off mid-combo with a Treasure Cruise, which also draws you 3 cards, then draws a card and discards a card, and untaps your mana guy, gives him +1/+1. That's a pretty powerful effect.
He's taking a lot of damage, though, with...
He is under the gun.
With this Mana Confluence.
And that's a Manamorphose, which is really good in this deck.
Yes. Hopefully drawing a Caryatid.
I want to just build a deck that uses Manamorphose to just fix mana.
Yeah.
Doesn't do anything unfair with it. It's just like, man, I'm playing like 3 colors. It'd be nice to fix my mana with Manamorphose sometimes.
Oh my god.
That's a Stormbat Dragon, and I believe
he's just dead.
He's dead.
Yep.
So that's a good way to fight this deck. Removal spells, backed up, because you can't, like I said, you can't just kill them. Killing the mana dorks isn't a permanent solution.
Right.
Because if Ascendancy gets online, he's going to find more. The deck's stuffed full of them. So, removal backed up with a clock, and if not an outright counter or removal spell for Ascendancy, remand it a time or two to keep it off the board, keep Rob from just getting the new pieces going. So, the good news for Rob post board is he's probably more set up to fight a Rug creature-based deck than the Rug deck is to fight the Ascendancy deck, just because the Ascendancy deck is so new.
Yeah. Yeah, last time I saw anything with Glittering Wish that was really powerful was way back in the Project X days.
I do remember that.
All the way back when Future Sight was actually legal in Standard. And that was not fun to fight against.
No. There was a Glittering Zoo list in Modern, in the early days of Modern, that kicked around a little bit that I was never super impressed with. It was real clunky. Back when we were still trying to figure out, like, what the power level of Modern was. People were trying that. It was like an aggro deck backed up with Glittering Wish. I think it ran the Kevu Predator thing, and you could wish for the that Fiery Justice. Fiery Justice. So you put a Fiery Justice on the board, and you could wish for that, and get your Kevu Predator online, and et cetera, et cetera.
Surprised people are not playing Predator along with because Grow with the Burn Willows is still legal in Modern.
Yep.
Although Punishing Fire is not.
It was a deck. There was a Legacy legal version of the deck that played the Punishing Grove combo. Mm-hmm. It was just basically like Punishing Maverick with the Kevu Predator engine, and I always thought that deck was probably like almost good enough, and it just kind of never really took off. But I agree. I mean, Kevu Predator seems like a real card. I think part of the problem is, without Punishing Fire, there's just less incentive, you know? You might as well just let people, might as well just play regular Zoo if I can't Punishing Fire within the moves.
Right. Although Kevu Predator has Trample, something Tarmogoyf does not have.
That's very true. Hooting Mandrills does too.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So Rob's going to be on the play here.
Yep.
Hopefully his bird will live long enough to start comboing off. I mean, we didn't want to go through all this and you're like, oh, well, we watched this match and didn't get to see the Just Guy deck go
Yeah,
off.
I'd like to see show off a little bit what it does.
Right.
I think that it's likely on the play that your bird lives reasonably long because the Dorian's deck, I believe, only has Lightning Bolt that interacts at 1 mana.
Right.
I don't think he's playing any gut shots or anything like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't see why he would. Well, is he playing Snapcaster Mage? That's something I would expect to see in a.
I think it's possible. I think that some of the Rug, more like Rug aggro decks, have moved away from it because you're playing more robust threats. But Snapcaster Lightning Bolt is one of the core engines that defines Modern.
Right.
And I wouldn't be surprised to see it here. And Snapcaster Electrolyze is even better.
Yeah.
All right.
So the bird got, or did he probe?
He probed.
Okay.
And then looks like possibly Serum Visions.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Something to keep in mind about this deck is against these removal-heavy decks, it can prioritize trying to go off with Sylvan Cardited. It slows you down by a turn, but it's much more resilient to all the bolts and electrolyzes. By that, I mean it completely ignores them and turns that off as an axis for interaction. And I'm pretty sure that's what Rob was digging so hard for.
Right.
The last game was just that Cardited that he could go off safely with.
Right. And what's great about Glittering Wish, in Game 2, whatever you sideboarded out, you can go get with Wish and keep the cards that are from your sideboard and main deck that are good against your opponent. So
it's
perhaps
true.
that's what's happening here.
And, you know, after board, Rob's deck probably doesn't change that much because the Wish board takes up a reasonable amount of space. You know, having a Wish board is great because you get to sideboard game 1, but it is a real cost to being able to board like multiple copies of powerful sideboard. Modern, in a lot of ways, looks like we have a Wish for a Naya Charm.
Seems pretty good, right?
Yeah. That does seem pretty good. Man, all those charms, the original charm, not the original charms, but all the um, charge charms are so good.
Right.
Naya Charm, for those of you who have not played with a lot of Naya Charm, 3 damage target creature, return target card from a graveyard to its owner's hand, tap all creatures target player controls. The main reason it's in the deck is to get your Jeskai Ascendancies back.
Yes.
But it has other options as well, of course. It can kill Ethersworn Canonist, for example. So the wish board for this deck is really elegant. I'd love to see what Rob is playing exactly. I know he mentioned he wished he had an Aurelia's Fury.
Right, I heard him and a couple other players talking about that. Someone had also mentioned Rakdos return.
Yeah. The nice thing about Fury is that you can use it. Rob plays Silence in his main deck.
Yes.
So he can go off unmolested or buy himself time, or both. And
that's a Thrun.
Okay.
Ugh.
It's a clock.
It is.
Aurelia's Fury can be a silence as well, which is sweet. But
yeah.
Thrun is a clock. If Rob has a land here, he could potentially...
Yeah, Dorian's tapped out. Rob should just go off if he can.
Well, he can't go off because the Manador's going to have Summoning Sickness.
That's true.
But there's a Caryatid.
Yep.
That's a big game.
Although he is at 9, so you can take 1 hit from this Thrun.
Yep.
And as long as Dorian doesn't have a counterspell, Rob could go off next turn.
Could go off. I would say if Dorian doesn't have a counterspell, Rob is likely to go off next turn. And if Dorian does have a counterspell, Rob could have a silence.
Yep.
Is that a Wall of Roots?
That sure is.
That's interesting. You don't see that outside of pod decks very often.
No. For some reason, we're getting all these creatures. I'm trying to see what Dorian just played last turn.
What's the card closest to his deck, if you could? No, that's the Rattleclaw Mystic.
Oh, okay. So he must be on the buy box promo plan.
So Dorian, for all the creatures he has in play, I mean, it's a reasonable clock for the right total Rob's at right now, but none of them are particularly impressive besides Thrun. Here we go. Ascendancy. Did not lead with a silence, which means he is vulnerable to a counterspell. Dorian is tanking pretty hard.
I'm sensing a treasure cruise.
I would say that if Dorian had a counterspell, it would not be a tank. It would be a snap counterspell, you're dead.
Yeah. Okay. Ascendancy resolves.
I would say that putting your hand down and folding your hands. Oh, but it doesn't look like he has the tools to go off with.
Did that just happen? He what? Oh my god.
Yep.
See, look, we pushed so hard to get it on camera, and
it just fizzled
flat.
out. Now, with that said, part of it was Rob's draws were a little awkward, especially game 2. Looks like he just couldn't assemble. It's kind of a 3-part combo engine. It's Manador plus Ascendancy plus cantrips to start going off.
Right.
It looks like he had trouble getting all those pieces together. But Dorian's deck might just be well suited to fight this. It's got counterspells, it's got removal for the dorks, and it's got a good clock. I think that's the 3-part thing that if you're worried about this Jeskai Ascendancy deck, and some people are calling it too good for Modern, too fast, too consistent for a combo deck for Modern, these disruptive rug decks, good green creatures, blue counterspells, or red burn spells, might be a natural predator for it to some degree.
Right.
Well, that's it for us. That was the last round of Magic tonight. That was the last round of Modern. They drew, so they'll both be taking home whatever the purse was for 3-0-1.
Yeah. Not bad for our maiden voyage here at Epic Loot.
Absolutely. We want to appreciate. Well, thank you all of you for joining us. We appreciate it very much. We are Dayton Magic Club.
Yes.
Check us out at DaytonMagicClubwebsite.com. Check us out here on Twitch at our archives at Dayton_Magic_coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Check us out on YouTube where we put highlights of all of our videos at Dayton Magic Club on YouTube. And be sure to check out, if you're in the area, if you're in southwestern Ohio, you should really come by here to Epic Loot and check it out if you haven't already. It's a great game store, got a great staff, got a huge, gorgeous play area.
Yes.
And they play everything. I know they have a really active miniatures gaming scene here as well as a really active Magic scene. They don't just play standard or modern, they play Legacy here twice a month.
Yes, the second and fourth Sundays of the month. Come play the gentleman's game of Legacy.
Absolutely. They get a great turnout. Last time I was here, we had 26 players for it. It's a great turnout for Eternal in this town.
Yep.
So, be sure to check them out. Be sure to check us out. We'd love to see you guys come out here and get on camera with us. We'd love to see you guys as tournament reports and that kind of stuff for the website, DaytonMagicClubWebsite.com. We publish. We've been on hiatus, but we're going to be getting back in the publishing game, so we definitely solicit all content people write about the game, whether it's tournament reports, whether it's deck, short stories about Magic. We've literally published all of that in the past, and we'd love to see what you guys have. So,
right. Couple things before we leave, though. For those who are wanting to know when and where to play, also check out the Dayton Magic Club website. We'll be able to let you know what stores are hosting events such as Epic Loot, Game Haven, Mavericks. There's quite a few stores in the area that are hosting events. At the end of this month, there is EpicCon, the first ever EpicCon.
Absolutely.
Where Walter himself, Mr. Chekhov, will actually be in Dayton, Ohio. Shock of all shocks. And there are, I believe, 3 days worth of tournaments that are all considered Star City IQs. So they do have relevance. And our own Noah Ross is having a special tournament in November for the Autism Speaks. So there'll be more information on that for autism awareness and a tournament with that. That is going to be coming up, I believe, in November. So it's before Thanksgiving. So
yeah, we'll have all kinds of special prizes for that. It's the 22nd of November at the Game Haven, where you can get more for your games.
Yes.
Another great store here in the greater Dayton area. We'll be doing that tournament. We have all kinds of door prizes. We have all kinds of special prizes, custom play mats. Scott at the Game Haven is supporting us with a lot of prize support, so we really appreciate that. All the money, all the proceeds collected are going straight to the charity, so it's all going to a great cause. It'll be a great tournament, a lot of local players, a lot of friendly faces. So
the first and hopefully an annual charity tournament that we wish to host here in the Dayton area. It's definitely for an excellent cause.
Absolutely. So that about covers it. We want to appreciate you guys for sticking with us. If you're watching us on video on demand, thanks for checking out our videos on demand. And check us out next time. I believe we'll be back at Game Haven next week.
For Modern.
Yes. And we will be back at Epic Loot, I believe, the week after that. So we got a busy schedule coming through October. We're looking forward to that. We're glad to be back in the saddle here and bringing you guys these local tournaments. So one more time, we're Dayton Magic Club. I'm Ryan Johnson.
And I'm Scott Campbell.
Play locally, read locally, DaytonMagicClubWebsite.com. Thanks for checking us out.
See ya.